Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv. I'm an independent author, and this video is not about my writing. This is about me having autism and the other thing I talk about on this channel. I've been doing like a monthly January vlog that I just like pick up the camera and talk to it sometimes just as an experiment. But I was like, when I was like thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I'm like, no, this should be its own video. Like this is the kind of thing, like it's one of the ugly, scary, embarrassing parts of having autism that I'm just like, maybe if I talk about it, somebody else will relate and feel better or have something to say that will make me feel better. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm just like, because it's like ugly, scary, embarrassing to talk about, I feel like it doesn't get talked about a lot. And so here I am. And I will say, I really debated putting on makeup for this video because when I talk about the things that are ugly, scary, embarrassing, I like to look as pretty as possible. But then the thought of doing makeup just for this video and then taking it off and going to bed, I couldn't do it. So you get me at least in a different sweatshirt that I've been wearing in the last few videos, no makeup, second day hair, and this is just, we live like this. So just as some background, I just turned 30 this month. I got diagnosed with autism when I was 14. Yeah. So the inspiration for this video actually came from me crashing out on the phone to my best friend Cal, who y'all have met on this channel. If you haven't met them, then we have like, I think 3 videos together now, maybe 4. But yeah, we just talked on the phone for like an hour, and I just like said, basically, I'm so appreciative of my friends who will just let me say all the insane, irrational, intrusive thoughts just swirling around in my head out loud to them, just so I can hear how stupid they sound, and be like, wow, like that doesn't make sense actually. And so I just really appreciate them for that, because like they let me talk like step by step every single thing I overthought this week, and why. And like went through like 8 separate war flashbacks with me to my childhood, and I'm just like, that's a real friend right there. Is my camera sideways? That's a real friend right there. That is a friend that I have an established vibe with, which is what I'm kind of going to talk about today, which is the scary, ugly, embarrassing art of making new friends as a person with autism. Just how it's just, I feel like it should be easier considering I'm 30, but it just doesn't feel much easier than it was when I was younger. Even though I know, like, I'm obviously more aware of having autism than I was when I was younger, and I'm more aware of like just things that I've learned over the years. So like, I guess in a sense it is easier, but it just doesn't feel easier. You know, like it's just something that I struggle with, is making new friends, as a person with autism. And I think the reason for this is the process of making a new friend for me on the back end, my end, which is the ugly, scary, embarrassing part we're going to talk about, is a lot. And not everyone sticks around through the a lot to get to where me and Cal are. Like, the thing about me is, like, with my friends who I already have an established vibe with, I am so low maintenance. Like, if you don't text me for 3 days, if you say something kind of off-putting to me in the chat, if you're like, I don't know, like, you can just, there's not much you can do that I will overreact about. Like, if we have an established vibe and you do any of those things that indicate like a slight shift in the vibe, I'll just be like, okay, whatever. Like, I can, like, it does not faze me, because I know we have that established vibe, and I know like that's not something I need to be concerned about. But before we get there, I just overthink a lot. And this does come from, like, it doesn't come out of nothing. It comes from it's like the trap that I described to one of my other friends today. I'm just like, with autism, I have 2 options basically. I can overthink everything and make myself miserable, or I can underthink and miss some extremely important thing that ends up violently ruining everything. Which sounds like an exaggeration, but let me tell you, like, Some of my past experiences, granted most of them were in high school and like people are older now, it's so like, it's just a whole other thing, but like the war flashbacks that I still have to some of these things that happened to me in high school, it's like, yeah, I can sit there and overthink and make myself miserable because I'm overanalyzing every little thing. Or I can decide I'm not going to overthink. I'm going to believe that everything is fine and then completely miss that I am doing something that is driving the other person crazy and ruin the friendship. And it's like, even sometimes against my will, I'll start overthinking. Like, so to set the scene, I feel like I talked about this in a different video, but when I was in high school and like because I was so socially awkward and like had ruined things with people in the past, we're gonna talk about crushes for this example, but like this applies to friends as well. My mom was like, if you want to text your crush, you have to show me the message first so that I can tell you if it's a normal thing to say or not. And like looking back years later, I was like, wow, maybe if I had just like been able to establish like a regular talking thread with that guy instead of like having to wait for my mom to approve everything and like just having to show her all our text messages, maybe we would have actually like connected and maybe gone out and maybe I would have realized I was gay sooner. And so, but then now I'm like, could I have even done that? Because I will go like to send a text message and not necessarily to a crush, but like I will just go to send a text message to someone who I do not have an established vibe with. And my brain is like, danger, 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 don't do this. Like it's like an antivirus pop-up. It's like, hey friendo, this may be a little bit risky, perhaps don't do it. And it's over the most normal, basic things that you could possibly think of. Like I can't even type hey sometimes without my brain being like, this might be dangerous. That's an extreme example, but like, sometimes it's just like, and I will just sit and stare at my phone for hours and want to talk to someone and just not have any idea what to say because nothing I type feels right. It's all like, oh, well, this would be maybe too much if I said that. This would be weird if I said that. Maybe I've already talked to them enough today. Like, just, it's so stupid when I say it out loud. But like, these are the intrusive thoughts that I get, okay? Like I said, this is the scary, ugly, embarrassing part of having autism, is that these things happen. And I'm trying to be very vulnerable and share them, but it's hard for me because just, you know, these are parts, it is very vulnerable for me to share these parts of my experience, because they are scary, ugly, and embarrassing. How many times can I say that? Like, I internalize things that I do wrong so that I don't do them again. And it's like, at some point, like some of the things that I did wrong, like, looking back as an adult, I'm like, that was just stupid high school stuff. And it's like, but I can't unlearn it. It's like, there was a guy, who I, you know, had a crush on and he didn't like me back. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. I'm cool with just being friends. Like, not going to pursue that. Obviously I know the boundary here. We're just gonna be friends. But whenever I would try to talk to him, he would seem annoyed. And then like, he brought up that like, I was there too much. I was around too much. I was trying to talk to him too much. And I was like, I thought we were friends. I thought you were supposed to talk to your friends, but okay, fine, whatever, cool. Obviously it didn't go exactly like that. Like I may have crashed out for like a long time about that, but, that was like more than 10 years ago. But it's like, but that the internalization of being there too much is still in my head. And it's like, when I'm as an adult, like a few years ago, I tried to make a new friend and was told I was like trying to talk to them too much. And I'm just like, okay, well, cool. And it was just like, literally like, I don't even remember. It's like, and it's just like, I with the guy, I would like keep a tally in my head of how many times I had said hi to him or something in like a certain amount of time, or like, it was like, if I gave him a compliment, I had to give at least 3 people in the vicinity a compliment as well. And then I couldn't give him another compliment for the rest of the day. It was a whole system I had worked out because I was so paranoid of doing too much again. And it's just like, these things stick with me. So it's like, without even realizing it, I'll find myself being like, well, I already said hi to this person twice this week. Maybe I should just not talk to them for the rest of the week. Like maybe, because I don't want to be too much. Like I don't want to be around too much or something like that. And it's so dumb when I say it out loud. Like, I don't know. Or like, I don't know, like I'll be worried that like I'm gonna say too much, or I'm gonna say the wrong thing, I'm gonna say something that could be interpreted wrong, and I'm gonna want to give context, but people don't want context. That's just an overthinking thing I do because I have autism. I'm like, I have to give the context because I'm more palatable with context. And that was just a lot of thought dumping just now. But it's, you know, it's the things I think about. And then it's like, you can't, like, I get like this, and like with people I do not already have an established vibe with, I get this like recurring need to ask for reassurance that I can't do anything about, because if you ask someone you don't have an established vibe with for reassurance too many times, then like you're gonna come off as insane. And it's just like all of the things that I'm describing are not things you can say to a person you're trying to make friends with. You can't be like, by the way, I'm usually open about having autism, but I'm like, you can't be like, by the way, I have like severe trauma from high school of times that I was told that I was too much and just like all these things. So like you can't like just go into all of your past trauma with a brand new person and be like, this, and this happened to me in my past, and I'm going to be very afraid that it's going to happen with you until we have an established vibe. So I need you to like give me reassurance constantly. And you can't do that. You gotta learn to get through those things on your own. Because it gets to a place, and like, this is something that I really don't talk about because it is one of the ugliest, scariest, most embarrassing things to me personally. It's like one of the most vulnerable states that I could possibly be in. And that's having a meltdown, like an autistic meltdown. Like, it's one of those things, like, as soon as it's over, I am so embarrassed about it. Like if anybody happened to witness it, I am so embarrassed about that. Like sometimes I'm on my own when they happen, and then I'm still embarrassed, but it's like less bad because only I witnessed it and I don't have to tell anybody about it. But it's like that state that I get in, like it was like summer 2020, and the Wi-Fi went down at my mom's house, and I couldn't like get any cell service to text my friends and let them know that, hey, I don't have Wi-Fi. If you can't get a hold of me, I am good. And I like started to like not be able to breathe as much. I like had to like go on a walk outside to try to get some service. That didn't work. And it was like, I just could not think about anything else but needing to tell my friends I was gonna be okay. And like even talking about it now, it sounds insane. And my mom and her friend who witnessed it, I am very embarrassed about. But it's just, and so it's like one of those things that's hard for me to talk about because that is such a vulnerable state. But it happens with people too. Like that, the thing that I needed to calm down was to get access to the internet long enough to text my friends, I am going to be okay. And then I was absolutely fine. It was like it never even happened, except me being embarrassed that it happened. Fine. But it will happen with people too. Like when I was in college, I was trying to make a new friend in my sorority, and well, I was trying to make several new friends in my sorority, but this particular friend, it was this weird thing that happens when I don't have an established vibe with someone, where it's like, sometimes my brain will interpret the lack of a positive interaction as a negative interaction. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just a thing that sometimes happens. And I had waved at this friend as they came into the place that we were, and their wave back was like slightly off. And so I was like, okay, well, it's okay because there's no reason for me to freak out right now. And then I was taking pictures with a bunch of people, and then I went up to her and was like, hey, can we get a picture? And she's like, oh, maybe not right now, like maybe later. I was like, okay. And then it was like, we didn't have a positive interaction. We didn't have a negative interaction after that. We didn't have a positive one either. We just didn't interact. And all of a sudden, I start like hyperventilating in the bathroom with my friends, and I'm just like, with my pre-established friends that were there with me. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, she hates me. Like, something's wrong. I've done something wrong. I've done too much. I've been too much. Like, it's happening again, like I can't. And I'm just like, I just, if she would have just taken a picture with me, I would have been fine. Like but now I'm overthinking and I feel like I've messed up, and then she's gonna sense that I've done all this overthinking. Like she's gonna be able to sense that I'm like this because I'm overthinking about her, and that's gonna mess everything up. And it was a whole meltdown spiral kind of thing. And my friends were like, why don't you go back out there, ask if she's ready to take a picture now? And I said, okay. So we did, and I was like, hey, are you ready to take a picture now? She's like, oh yeah, let's take one. And we took some pictures, and then immediately, never happened. Obviously still embarrassed that it did, but like, it was like, wow, okay, I'm fine. I have never not been fine in my life. Like, I'm so good right now. Like, everything is great. And it's so insane to me that that happens. And it's just something that's just so hard for me to talk about because of how insane it sounds. But it was like, until I had that reassurance, I was not gonna feel fine. And what's so funny is like, I was like, I cannot, so like, I know that just as a person, I cannot be in a constant cycle of, I need reassurance, I will not be okay until I get that reassurance. Okay, cool, I have the reassurance, I'm fine, that never happened. I cannot be in that cycle. It's not fair to me, it's not fair to the person I need reassurance from. It's no way to establish a friendship. It's no way to establish a healthy friendship. And so I remember like some time ago, I was just like, okay, well, I need to learn how to get through this on my own. I was talking through it with one of my friends. I was like trying to like reassure myself, like saying like all the reasons why nothing would be wrong. But then you hit the other points of trauma where it's like, yeah, there's no reason for anything to be wrong, but there was no reason for anything to be wrong before my ex broke up with me in a text message. So, you know, like, you never know when something might be wrong. And it's just those stupid things that you internalize that are like, how often in your life is somebody gonna be such an asshole and break up with you in a text message 8 days after hard launching? Like, at what point do you have to say that is an insane person that is not going to be any of the other people that I meet? And it's like, so it's like, yeah, there's no reason for anything to be wrong, but there wasn't a reason for anything to be wrong then either. And it's like, I just couldn't talk myself out of it. And it's like, it was like the only thing that got me to calm down was like reassurance, which like I didn't ask for. Like I got it just by happenstance, I guess you could say. But it was reassurance. And I don't want to be stuck in a cycle of like, I have anxiety, I need reassurance, I will not be fine until I get that specific reassurance, because that's a terrible cycle to be in. It's not fair to you, it's not fair to the other person. Yeah, moving on from that, another thing I wanted to talk about with just like the difficulties of making friends while you have autism is just straight up not knowing what to do. Like just straight up knowing that there's so much you don't know, and like trying to navigate on your own, but just not knowing things that implicitly most other people who don't have autism know, and trying to make decisions and figure out what you should do. And that's where the overthinking kind of comes in, is because you're like, well, is this what I should do? Is it not what I should do? What are the, like, what, just all of that. And it's like, there are times that like, I know if I fully like let my instinct take over and don't try to like overthink and curb my, like, curb my desire to handle things in the way that feels right to me. I know that I will make several insanely critical social blunders that will absolutely ruin everything, because just things don't occur to me sometimes until I overthink about it. And it's just, there are still times that I do things, and then immediately after I do them, I'm like, oh my gosh, why? What was I thinking? Like, there was, I had like a coworker friend at one of my old jobs, and we had been talking late at night, and she was like telling me about a bunch of stuff she was going through, and I was like, girl, I'm gonna give you a hug tomorrow. And she was like, oh, thank you so much, like, that'd be so sweet. And then I forgot to, I don't remember exactly what happened. I guess I forgot to hug her at lunch, or just, we hadn't like naturally run into each other. And I went to drop something off to her classroom, and she was talking to a couple people from the district. And before I left, I was like, oh, did you want your hug now? And she's like, no, I'm good. And then as soon as the door shut behind me, I was like, what the damn hell did I just do? Like, in what world was that okay? And then like, she texted me later and was like, hey, that was so uncomfortable. And I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like as soon as I did it, I was like, oh crap. And you know, like, we were able to come back from that temporarily. Long story how that ended, but yeah, it was just one of those things that's like, if I don't overthink, I will accidentally do things like that every once in a while. And so it's like, yeah, the overthinking sucks, but I gotta do it. At least to some point. Like, I shouldn't overthink as much as I end up doing sometimes, where it's like to the point where it's like, I'm just like, that's what it feels like sometimes. It's like, you know, like the guy with like the conspiracy theory board and all the ropes and everything, like that's how it feels sometimes when I overthink. And it's like, once I'm done overthinking, I'm like, wow, that was insane. And it's like the kinds of things that you can't talk about with people because it does sound insane, and that was a lot. That was a lot. Point is, sometimes overthinking is necessary, but not to the degree where you are like putting red rope on a pin board and like doing all that. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to touch on is like more specific to just having trauma in addition to autism. So if you have had a lot of friendships, relationships go wrong, most of which could be pinpointed back to something you did wrong, even if you've learned from it, it was like years ago in high school or middle school or something like that. But if you've had just not a great track record with keeping new friends because you became too much or did something wrong or just overthought it to death, and drove them away, it's like you start to get to this point where you're like afraid to be happy. Not afraid to be happy, but where you're like afraid to believe that the connection is real and afraid to believe it could work out. Like, because I taught myself from a very young age that like, if I'm expecting disappointment, then I will not fall as hard when I am disappointed. Which is a very depressing thought, but it's just something that I taught myself. Like when I would go to ask my parents something, I'd be like, I'm gonna ask my dad for $5 and he's gonna say no. Dad, can I have $5? He's gonna say no, he's gonna say no, he's gonna say no. And then he'd say yes, and I'd be like, oh yay, now I'm even happier because I thought he was gonna say no. But if he said no, I'd be like, yeah, I know, I expected that. And that was just something that has stuck with me. And I've realized over the years that like, there are cases where I can accidentally manifest the negative thing by doing that. But you're scared to get your hopes up because you don't want to fall because you have fallen before and it hurts. And like, I can't even explain like how long it took me to feel like a person again after the last time I was severely hurt by someone. Like just not just like, and not just because of that person specifically, but like when that person hurts you, you feel every other time it's happened. Like it's not just that I was too much for this person, but it was that I was too much for that person as well, and that person before them, and that person before them, and I'm always too much. And you feel all of it all at once. So it's not just that one person hurting you, it's all of them. It's like they didn't just wound you, they reopened every wound you already had and made them bigger. And it's hard to sit with. Like it's one of those things that's hard to process. And you know, like sometimes you're afraid to believe that this is a friendship that will work out. This is a person that will be in my life for a long time because you've been disappointed in the past. But yeah, it's like, I think it's more so with dating than with making friends for me. But it was like when my ex and I first started talking last year, I was just like, I cannot let myself believe that this is going to go anywhere, because then I will not get hurt if it doesn't. And like after every step, like after our first kiss, after the first time she met my friends, after like the first time I stayed at her house, like every time we took a step like that, I would be like, I have to have an exit plan. I have to just like, I wouldn't let myself, I tried so hard not to let myself believe that it was going to last. And it got to a point where I was finally just like, you know what, like, it's been 2 months. It was when she sent me flowers, when I got my job offer for the job I work at now. She sent me flowers, and that was when I was just like, you know what? I can trust this person. Like, I am ready to believe that this can work. I am ready to stop banking on being disappointed. I am ready to just let myself have hope because I don't feel as much of a risk of falling. And so I let myself have hope, and it was, I swear, like, the way I explained it to my therapist, it was like, it wasn't literally the second I let my guard down, because it took like a week, but it was like, as soon as I let my guard down, pretty much, she left. In a very, like, specifically traumatizing to me specifically way. And it was just like, okay, cool, fine. Again, that's not how I actually reacted. That's my friends who had to deal with me during that, like, my friends who had to deal with me in the first 2 weeks after that happened to tell you that is not how that went. That was not my reaction at all. But it was just one of those things that's like, now I know I can never hope again. And for a long time, I said I can never hope again. I will never let myself feel something like that again. And even when I tried to start dating again, it was like, I will never be ready for a relationship again. I will never be ready to give someone that level of trust again. And, you know, I just realized, like, I just was not ready to date. And then when I realized I was ready to date again, finally, I was just like, and then when I eventually realized I was ready to date again, it's like, just because I'm ready doesn't mean that what my ex did to me is not still going to take a long time to heal, especially because in doing what she did, she reopened several wounds that had taken 6 years of therapy to get even remotely as closed as they were. And it was like, it was a lot. It was like, but it's like, even after I decided I was ready to date again, you know, like, I still have that fear that, like, because as carefully as I vetted her, like, as careful as I was, that was like, I am not going to trust her until I am 100% sure. Like, I have not seen a single red flag from her in 2 months we've been going out. Like, she is, like, entirely green flags. There is nothing even giving me the ick about her. Like, she hasn't, like, she, like, does all these things that speak specifically to my reassurance needs. Like, this is real. And then it still ended the way it did. And it was like, there's two sides of that where I'm like, wow, I can be so careful and that can still happen, so I can never date again. And then there's, I can be so careful and that still can happen. So YOLO, whatever God or the universe or whatever you believe in has to give me, I am ready to receive. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I am ready to receive whatever is coming to me. Let me rephrase that, actually, because I don't want to say whatever is coming to me and there'd be a little mix up and I get like, and like, I'm just very open to receiving, not anything. I don't want to manifest anything, but I feel more open and less like I have to be careful. Because yes, well, it's true, I do not have time to go through what I went through the first 2 weeks after I got broken up with. Like, I didn't even have time to go through that while I was going through it. It's just like, I can be so careful and it can still happen. So, like, I'm either never gonna date again or I'm going to take a risk. Whenever something, not anything, comes to me, I'm ready for it. And it's a very weird way to end this, but yeah. So yeah, this is probably the most vulnerable video I've put on this channel to date. So may or may not be taking it down. I don't know. This is either gonna be a bonus video for you this week, or I will just straight up forget to film anything between now and Saturday. Who knows? But not me. I just wanted to ramble because maybe somebody else with autism is having similar struggles on the back end of trying to make new friends and they feel less alone. I don't know. But yeah, that's just my experience. Thank you for watching. I will have a writing related video up soon. My brain is like, it's done. I just said a bunch of vulnerable stuff after like crashing out on the phone to my friend for an hour, and my brain is done. So that is my sign to get off this video. I will see y'all next time I make a video, whether that be Saturday or next week, I don't know, but I will see y'all at some point. Yeah, bye.